Hello and welcome to The Relevance of Now with William Linville. My name is Michael Connell. I'm here with William, and today we're going to explore being in your presence. And wanted to reference your first book, Living in a Body on a Planet, Your Divine Abilities. And in chapter 8, you summarize living in a clear state. And here are some of the highlights of living in a clear state. This is the time to speak about what lies beyond recognizing your abilities. Living in a clear state is about acknowledging those abilities, using those abilities, and living in neutrality. Your natural state is one of isness, of neutrality. When I speak of neutrality, I'm speaking of a life where the giving and the receiving become one. Neutrality is a state of no mind and no matter. You've also referred to in this book of this state as being in your presence. Can you expand on this state of consciousness, of being?
Yes, it's where you're at. You have a mind and you have a body, but you're not the mind, you're not the body. You're in the body where you can feel the energy, you can feel your presence emanating through the physical form, where you can feel all the warmth, all the energy, all the consciousness that you're emanating through the body, where you can feel your heart opening, or you can feel the solar plexus opening, or you can feel the crater chakra vortex opening, where you can feel all the fluidness running through all these areas, where you can feel the consciousness flowing through the hands, where you can feel all of your whole physical beingness open and flowing and very fluid. But where you have a mind where you're directing it all to keep opening, keep flowing, where the mind is silent and more in a state of seeing all around, seeing that everything is moving and flowing, but not grabbing onto anything, not trying to make something out of nothing, not trying to create issues, problems, but observing how everything is working. More than observing, just seeing how everything is working together, flowing together, opening together, and watching, and how it's not becoming your master.
And in the book, on page 176, you say, when I ask you to embody your higher levels, I am asking you to let the heart that you are, the love that you are, the divinity that you are, the facet of creator that you are, begin to speak to you, steer you, and journey you. This is the embodying of love, brilliance, divinity, and presence.
Yes, to bringing your presence through the heart and letting the heart open and feeling into the heart. Because the heart will never steer you wrong. The mind will. Well, not so much the mind as much as the ego will.
And then on page 182, you share, ask yourself, am I ready to be done with the struggles inwardly and outwardly? Am I ready to be done with attempting to make things different than the perfection that they are? Am I ready to be done with creating all these perceptional beliefs in my own consciousness?
Yes.
And moving on from talking about, it's one thing to know this state of presence. Some or all of us may have experienced the state of presence. And then there's another thing being in our day and being in our presence. And so let's go into acknowledging what it's like to be in our presence and then acknowledging that we have judgments and identities. And how do we navigate through that to be in our presence more throughout our day?
You acknowledge the judgments, but you're no longer buying into them. You see them, but you're also saying goodbye to them. You're starting to re-question them to ask yourself, do you still find them to be true and accurate? Or are they now in a state of you outgrowing them? And are you still perceiving that you still require them or need them to survive? Because judgments are all situational to survival, and you're no longer surviving, now you're living. In a state of living, you no longer require judgments to survive because you're no longer coming from a state of survival.
And when we catch ourselves in that state of survival, how can we break the pattern? Real time.
You take a breath and you bring your consciousness either through the palms of your hands, your heart, and you feel. You break energy with the world by feeling. And you welcome forth your higher levels, your creator consciousness to come in, to take command, and to take command of the judgment and to dissolve it. And how does that feel?
I feel the presence. I feel my presence.
Uh-huh.
I feel more neutrality. Definitely. Yeah, I feel more quietness and the mind's coming in to question things, but I'm just letting it go.
Awesome.
At times in my journey, it's been very quickly, the mind just goes back into autopilot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's every minute, sometimes it's every hour. It's different for everyone, Michael. But then it becomes very seldom. It depends on how far along you are within your own journey.
And what I hear you sharing is if we're not judging what we're doing, if we just keep practicing the mindfulness, the shifting of consciousness from the pattern thoughts to our presence, you're saying that it'll just keep being easier and easier?
Yes, and dissolving quicker and quicker, to where eventually you just won't ever be stuck at all. Where it'll be, huh, you again? Okay, be gone. And it leaves.
And while it may be hard for some to believe that it's that easy, what I've experienced is it's that easy because that's who we are.
Yes, and it's not rocket science. And the universe is gentle, not mental.
So give an example of how we can be our presence when we're walking the dog.
Stopping, taking a breath, and feeling even the leash in your hand. Feeling your hand, feeling your arm, feeling the torso, feeling the legs, feeling the other arm, feeling your neck, feeling your head. And now, while you're feeling, going for the walk with Rover, just flowing with it. The walk is an expression of divinity for you. You're expressing, not just going through mechanics, and where you feel it deeper and deeper every time you do it, to where eventually it's just going to feel like a flow, where you're not going to need to stop and feel. You're always going to be in that state.
And can you tune into an example of being in a meeting room at work with other colleagues and your boss and being in your presence.
Yes, you put a figure eight, the whole office, the room, all your coworkers, the boss in one circle, putting yourself in the other circle, and just feeling your presence, keeping everyone else in the other circle, watching what's going on, listening and watching, just not internalizing, where you're able to actually become more present in the meeting rather than thinking about your next response, thinking about what there is to do. You're able to really hear what's going on and become more responsive when it's your turn to speak, not reactive.
And I imagine with family and around the holidays, it also could be a similar exercise
Absolutely.
where we're not projecting
Or assuming.
what a family member is going to say or not say. We're not protecting.
Exactly. But where you can feel the love there.
And in the example of being outside, walking the dog, can you talk about connecting with nature as an exercise?
Yes, you're letting nature fully embrace you. The beautiful trees, the beautiful flowers, you're letting it surround you on this beautiful creche all around you. You're letting it embrace you and hold you and support you as the beautiful creche that it is.
Is that one of the roles of nature?
Yes, to become totally, completely supportive of you and to love you, where you can feel that love and all the blossomings, all the beauty, and all the embracement from it. When you let yourself stop, become present in the relevance of the now to feel that love coming towards you and holding you and suspending you in light.
Beautiful. Thank you, William, for this wonderful experience of being in our presence and how we can play with our abilities throughout our day.
Always, always, any time, my good friend. It's so important to be able to play with them and to explore them, as well as to embody you simultaneously.
Thank you all for joining us. This is The Relevance of Now with William Linville. Please click subscribe. Join us next time. Namaste.
Namaste.